Hey, folks joining. We're going to wait just a few minutes to get started. This is going to be a good one today. You have made a great choice in your investment of the next hour. Everyone will get started with cameras on. I believe you're muted. Just stay muted or mute yourself, please, so that we can be sure we don't have any background noise. We'll get started in just a second. All right, Jeff, you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's dive right in. Welcome to today's webinar with Jeff Zimmerman of the AT&T Partner Exchange. I'm going to say a little bit about this webinar. If you've never actually joined one of my webinars, you can look back on our YouTube channel. We've got lots and lots. This one's particularly special. I've known Jeff for quite a while. I'm Laura Johns, founder and CEO of the Business Growers, and have been, I like to say, a friend of AT&T for a long time. The industry that I started in, we were selling cellular embedded smart meters, and that was ages ago. And now here at the Business Growers, we are partnering with managed services providers and IT businesses to help grow their businesses and grow their revenue, which is a story that AT&T fits right into. So Jeff, Business Development Manager with the AT&T Partner Exchange. Jeff, if you will, introduce yourself, and then we'll get right into helping people understand how they can grow their revenue with the AT&T Partner Exchange and the Business Growers.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. And this is great. Glad to have everybody on the Zoom here and excited to share what we're doing here. Jeff Zimmerman, been with AT&T about 21 years. I know I don't look like it, but been in AT&T Partner Exchange for about 10 years. So about half my career in this program that launched in 2013. And my role, my sole purpose in life is to recruit MSPs, solution providers, IT providers that see the value of the AT&T brand and want to go to market and resell AT&T's network services, both wireline and wireless. So my job every day is talking to folks like you, trying to see if there's a mutual fit on what we're doing in line with your go-to-market strategy. And I think I tell everybody all the time, I think I have the best role in the company, and I stand by that, and glad to see everybody on the Zoom.
I love it. And if those of you see Jeff's background, don't get scared. If you don't choose to do business with AT&T, it's okay. He won't beat you up. So he does have some nice boxing gloves behind you. So if I want to play a little game real quick, I'm big on asking people to stay involved throughout the course of the webinar. So if you have met, have heard of, or know Jeff Zimmerman, also known as Jay-Z, put a Jay-Z in the chat. I'm even going to do it because a lot of people are friends of Jay-Z, so I love it. Well, thank you, Jeff. So let's get started. So a lot of the folks that are listening today are either, I like to say, revenue growth curious, trying to figure out what it's going to take to grow revenue and how they can do that, or they are already potentially selling some sort of similar offer that AT&T has. Maybe they're selling it with AT&T, who knows, just in a different kind of channel. So from the ground up, can you just explain, okay, what is the AT&T Partner Exchange if I've never heard of it before, and how would it benefit a managed services provider or IT business?
Yeah, great question, right? Who are we? What do we do? As I mentioned, the program's been around since 2013. It was the first business unit launched at one of our innovation centers at AT&T. We were a startup. The beauty of it at the time, nobody knew who we were. The bad part was nobody knew who we were. 11 years in, we're $1 billion entity. And really what we did is design this program to make it easier to do business with AT&T. And I'm sure there's many of you on this call that are like, that sounds kind of challenging. AT&T is such a big company, but that's really what we did. We created a platform, a portal and gave MSP solution providers the keys to the kingdom. They can quote services, check service availability, and even order services like our broadband, dedicated internet, wireless solutions as well. And so the beauty of this program really is you own the end customer relationship. So you're buying from AT&T for the most part on a deal by deal basis. You're taking on the billing, tax, tier 1 support, and we can talk about how some of that works later. But you own the relationship with the customer. You're building equity value, top line revenue. So again, talking to folks like you every day, you may get a commission or through a different channel, what have you. This is 100% top line revenue, creating stickiness with that client. I'm sure many of you have exit strategies and things like that. And so we've made it easier to do business with you. We give you a wholesale-like rate to then add margin on top, bundled with your other go-to-market services, and go to market and win. And we give you a lot of resources behind you to help support your efforts. If you don't win, we don't win.
That's right. So you kind of just touched on it, but as far as the difference between, because I do talk to some people and I will ask usually because of our relationship, obviously, and we'll talk about the MDF funds later, but there is an advantage with having these resources that AT&T provides to, if you're interested, you can do business with any marketing partner, marketing resource, but we are a resource we're part of the AT&T Partner Exchange. So if I talk to people often and they might say, oh, I'm already selling AT&T, but then they're not familiar with the partner exchange. So what might that, or I'm already selling, this through a different channel. What are other ways that this might be the case and how is it different?
Yeah, so we have a vast indirect program at AT&T. It's called AT&T Partner Solutions. And so it's really up to you as a partner how you want to do business with AT&T. So some don't want the risk. They don't want to put it on their paper. They'd rather have AT&T do the billing and tier 1 and things like that. And then you just get a commission or some residual income. So we have an alliance program and our traditional agent program called ACC. With the alliance, you're working with a direct retail team. So it's more on the direct side of the house. But again, going back to what I said earlier, if you're looking to own the relationship, and I know many of you are today, but you're not doing the telecom piece of it because maybe it's too complicated. You got to, deal with billing and taxes and things like that. We created this program, again, to make it easier. We created an ecosystem, and we'll talk about what Laura does at Business Growers. That's on the sales marketing side. But then we also have partners for sales enablement that fill in billing, fill in tax, compliance, tier 1 support that can help support your efforts. So you're up and running, ready to go and sell in the program.
Okay, perfect. So I didn't say this earlier, I should have, but as we're talking, if you have questions for Jeff, questions for me, please just go ahead and throw them in the chat. We're going to have designated time for questions, but go ahead and ask and we can stop throughout and answer any questions. So can you talk a little bit about what people are selling? So what are some of the products and services that you guys offer through this, through the partner exchange so that, they can start kind of getting their wheels turning?
Yeah, so great question, Laura. So we've made it very straightforward. We're only offering our strategic services. We're not selling everything under the sun, AT&T. We're not selling POTS lines, legacy services, things of that nature. It's really focused on our strategic wireline services. So think of like dedicated internet with all the bells and whistles with SLAs. Think about, our business fiber, our low cost, high speed, compete against the cable companies. Those are our bread and butter. But if you want to network offices together, our layer 2 switched Ethernet, dedicated Ethernet, private line, WAN solutions as well. And then wireless. Wireless, as I'm sure many of you know, is as hot as can be. So you can do use cases around failover. If that wired circuit goes down, you want to ensure continuity. We offer wireless failover. Fixed wireless just rolled out, unlimited. So if there's areas maybe more rural that you serve where fiber is hard to get to, you can go that route and maybe turn it in, if there is fiber, turn the fixed wireless into a backup. And then we just recently launched a security offering called Dynamic Defense. So it's really, a network-based security platform that you can lock on top of your dedicated internet today, to deal with threats and things like that, to give you that added layer of security for your customers.
Awesome. So you mentioned a few minutes ago owning the customer versus not, and obviously it's up to the MSP or IT business based on what their preference is, how they want to manage the relationship, or what part they want to play in their customer relationship. What would be the risk of owning the customer where the MSP does the billing and not AT&T?
Yeah, so obviously by owning the customer relationship, it's on your paper, right? So you're buying from us and then reselling on your paper to the end customer. So sometimes the question comes up, well, what if my customer walks, right? What if they leave? And, obviously you're going to have some teeth in your agreements for early termination and things like that, but it may be tough, sometimes to recover, that money. So let's say, for example, you're in a 3-year agreement with them, 2 years, excuse me. And 2 years into the agreement, they walk, right? 1 year left, you have 1 year left with us. We have what's called revenue replacement. So as long as you replace that revenue within 90 days, you will not be
Nice.
charged any early termination fee.
Nice.
So nobody else in the company is doing this. So it's kind of unique to
That's a lot
our
of,
program.
yeah, a lot of flexibility for the MSP, that's for sure. So what does it look? I get this question a lot, and usually in this case, when someone asks me, I just say, "Hey, you need to call Jay-Z." I don't know the answers to these things, but what does it look like coming into the program? Let's just say somebody listening today is interested and they, kind of really want to understand what it looks like, because we understand that in, corporate world, nothing is always that simple. So we know that there's going to have to be commitment on, on both sides, and everybody's got to have skin in the game. What does it look like?
Yeah, so people, I'm sure many of you again have worked with AT&T, contracts like this, many pages and so forth. This program is very streamlined. We don't, it's not like a 6-month tribunal to join the program. It's really having conversations, understanding what your go-to-market strategy is. What markets do you serve? Are you in our 21 state footprint where you're going to get, our best buy rate for dedicated internet, where our business fiber is located? So what markets are you serving? Can you win with our pricing? I'm going to give you a wholesale rate to then add margin bundled with your go-to-market. But, we're AT&T, we're not a low-cost provider. There is obviously value to the brand. And as we all know, when AT&T is up, it works, right? So we have conversations, understanding your go-to-market, share exactly what I shared about the program, building that equity value. Again, that's the difference, that top line revenue on your books. In case you do have an exit strategy, you want your company to be worth as much as possible, right? So we do an NDA, we do a credit check, and then we quote opportunities. Give me some opportunities to quote, give me some feedback, let me know how that is. Can you win with our pricing? And then we move on to signed agreements and onboarding. We have a whole onboarding process for both wireline and wireless. So I can literally get you in within 3 weeks if we're both on the same, step.
But I do like that there is some sort of like an experimental phase for both the MSP or IT business side, the solution provider side, and your side, because we want to make sure that it works before we, shake hands and do the deal, right?
Yeah, and we can even do a tour of the portal, so I can show you how easy it is to quote.
That's what I was about to ask. Is this going to be a pain to qualify an opportunity every time? Talk about that. What does that look like every time I have a deal?
So in other parts of the business, like where I came from, everything came through the account team. I need a quote on XYZ. People are busy on the road, this and that. Again, I give you the keys to the kingdom. So upon entering the program, you're going to get a portal that it's full encompassing, but the biggest thing is allowing you to quote services, check service availability, and order, right? So you can do all that because it's really about quote to cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's self-serve, it's a self-serve model, but that portal will also have product info, both sales and technical, like, uh, battle cards, what the difference between like our business fiber versus dedicated. It will have rate cards, it'll have marketing information, it will have information about our ecosystem, like what Laura does at the Business Growers. So it really gives you those resources at your fingertips. But the beauty of the program, you're going to get an account team that sits behind you. So you'll have a channel account manager, you'll have an inside sales executive. If you're doing mobility, you'll have a mobility person. You'll have a sales engineer. So again, you'll have the resources that you can leverage in any way possible. Bring them in on meetings if necessary, or just if you're having issues with the portal. So it's, again, you have the access to everything, but we have the resources that sit behind you to make sure you're enabled and good to go.
So if you're worried about like headcount, like, oh, I don't have enough headcount to support this. I mean, as long as you have somebody who can get in the portal and make a quote, then you pretty much do have the headcount, because AT&T kind of comes around you and supports you in that, right?
Exactly. And, one thing I should point out, Laura, is if you're not selling mobility, for example, today, somebody else is to your customer, right? And so the beauty of this program is giving you that wireline and wireless capability. So when you're talking to them, what do you do for failover? We all know, staying up, 24/7 is so vital today. And then you can take the margin and spread it across the whole deal, right? We don't dictate the margin. We're going to give you that wholesale rate to then it's up to you, what you need to put onto it, ideally bundle with your other solutions.
Right. And you saying that, I would be interested to hear from anybody that is on the call that has had this experience before, but it would be, near impossible to assume that, let's just say you're just selling voice, or let's just say you're doing managed IT, but you don't have some of these offers that AT&T has. Like, put a 1 in the chat if you've had to walk away from an opportunity because you didn't have everything your client or prospect needed. I'd be really interested to see if anybody's brave enough to put a 1 in the chat. I got it started. I know that I've had conversations, and there's no way that this doesn't come up, or that it couldn't easily come up. There we go. We got a 1. So we know that this challenge exists when, you might lose an opportunity, or you might, not be able to bring to the table what your competitor is bringing to the table. Like you just said, if you're not bringing it, somebody else is. So
yeah, and let me just point something out too, because I'm sure many of you that again may be referring the telecom piece of it to somebody, getting a referral, whether it's AT&T or another provider. Again, we designed this program to make it easier to do business with us. So going back to that ecosystem, I can't emphasize it enough. So we'll talk about what Laura does here in a minute, but on the sales enablement side is so critical, right? So I hear it every day. Telecom's too complicated. We don't want to mess with it, taxes and things like that. So we had the foresight when this program launched in 2013 to create this ecosystem for sales enablement. So we have a handful of vendors to help fill in those gaps. So again, billing, sure, you probably have a billing platform, whether in-house or third party. Taxes, we have experts around taxes, around telecom and compliance. How do you remit those taxes? How do you ensure you're paying the government and not being at risk, right? Going back to, selling the company down the road, that's one area you don't want to mess with Uncle Sam, right? I've heard horror stories where someone goes to sell the company and it's not worth the paper, it's written on, because they didn't pay their taxes. So we have those experts to help you, to walk you through and make you comfortable, that you can outsource to, or even just leverage them from a consulting perspective. So real valuable resources.
And not only do you have those resources, but I'm going to take a minute and hype you up. And this is a big part of the reason why I wanted, you guys on the call, you on the call today, is I have worked in this industry for nearly 20 years. And I have, dozens of MDF, marketing dollar type, type programs that are offered in this industry. I have never seen one as generous and robust and as great of a resource as AT&T Partner Exchange offers. So let's talk about MDF dollars, how, how it works, what that looks like, how someone might be able to benefit from that. And then I do have a couple of slides of just a client of mine that's utilized the resources. We're at the Business Growers, I'll talk about this in a minute. We're helping our clients utilize that are reselling AT&T and our solution providers. We help our clients best maximize those dollars, and I've never seen anything like what you guys do. So talk a little bit about the program in that regard.
Yeah, so great segue. So I talk about the sales enablement and I talk about marketing, and that can, get costly, right? So what we've done, like on sales enablement, if you want to leverage one of our billing partners, our tax providers, compliance, tier one support, you can leverage dollars, MDF, marketing development funds in our program to get set up on those platforms. But not only get set up, we just recently announced that you can leverage funds to offset some of the monthly costs as well. So there's limits to it. I can tell you, you get a substantial amount access to for the first 2 quarters you join the program. I can't really share the number on this call, but it's substantial. So you can leverage those dollars, which are more for like sales enablement. And then once you're in the program, working with the Business Growers and Laura and Grace and their great team, you can then focus on the sales side of it, right? So now you're enabled, now you're up and running. Now you want to, go out there and sell, to customers and so forth. And then Laura has the expertise, whether it be like social media, email campaigns, and so forth. And one thing I should mention, going back to resources in the program, we give you access to all of our fiber-lit billing lists. So you can literally download thousands of sites. So maybe you're in Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, and Texas. You can literally filter this spreadsheet and target those locations, working with someone like Laura and leveraging our dollars to go to market.
Right
so
yeah,
it's really great.
That's awesome. So Grace, if you don't mind putting up a couple of slides, I wanted to just show a sample of what that looks like specifically. If you were to work with the Business Growers and utilize those MDF dollars that Jeff's talking about. So we have 3 core programs. I won't go into my spiel here, but I'm a firm believer that it's not about one thing, one magic, thing in marketing. It's about making sure that you are in front of your buyer everywhere. And I truly believe that our buyers today in 2024 are smart. They are doing their research. A lot of times this type of decision, a B2B decision like this, is going to take 6 to 18 months. And they don't come into the decision ready to talk to somebody in sales without having done statistically at least 80% of their research online. So that's where digital marketing comes into play. So some of you on the call may have had experience, let's just say a lot of times our clients will come to us and they've been running this business for 15, 20 years, and they've built a great, successful business off of referrals and handshakes. That's just how they have built their business. And I think it's amazing. But guess what? They're exhausted. They want to go play golf and figure out how to make this engine run without them having to be a part of it, them having to still be responsible for those handshakes and referrals, and really to equip their team to handle the generated leads through digital marketing. So that's where we come in. We have 3 core programs. We call it Know It, Grow It, Scale It, a little play on the IT. We work exclusively with managed services providers and IT businesses. And these 3 core growth programs are just based on your level of need. Sometimes we work with folks that have an internal person or internal team that just can't do it all. It's very unrealistic and difficult, in my opinion, to expect one marketing person to be a web designer, a web developer, graphic designer, social media manager, content whiz, SEO expert, and digital ads. Like we can't. I like to debunk the myth that one marketing person is going to solve all your problems. So we come either alongside that person, or we enter in as your full outsourced marketing team that feels like in-house. And we do all those things. We layer the web, the SEO, the ads for lead generation. We have our own CRM that we allow you to get into. We handle managing your Google reviews, all those things that are really important. But what's great about this AT&T Partner Exchange relationship is that we can promote AT&T products and services and utilize the marketing funds to grow your brand and to grow your business and to grow that top line revenue like Jeff's been talking about. This next slide, I won't show it for very long because it's kind of our secret sauce, but we do 12 months.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go back to that.
You mentioned, you mentioned the brand. So our program is really, it's wholesale like in nature, right? And the branding, the co-branding is part of the requirements in the program. So we actually have templates in our portal that you can put proposals with our logo and your logo side by side. You're not required to, just showcasing us maybe on your partner page on your website. But again, think of the power of the brand that you can now go to market. Not to say that Joe's telecom provider is not good, but the strength in the—
it's that brand confidence. It really, if I'm buying from someone who I've never heard of versus buying from someone who says, hey, we're powered by the strength of AT&T, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. So if you see like at the bottom of the screen where it says AT&T Partner Exchange ecosystem for Laura, you'll have something similar coming into the program. And we have 3 different tiers. And, we could talk about that if we move the conversation further. But again, you're going to get access to that brand to then go to market with your customers.
Yeah, love it. So a little snapshot on the next slide about what a journey looks like with us. It's a lot. So again, this is just to show there's no expectation, in my opinion, that we should put on one marketing person to be able to do all this. And if you go to the next slide, I have a quick sample. I think some of my this particular client is on the call potentially, but this is an example of that badge that Jeff was just talking about. This is the Platinum Elite badge. And you can go ahead and talk about that if you want to a little bit, Jeff, but this is just a sample of some co-branded assets that, working with us, we're able there are opportunities to do it yourself within the portal. Also, you can partner with a marketing team like ours, and we can be responsible for making sure that co-branding gets done so that you can get reimbursed with the AT&T marketing funds.
Yeah. So again, you're going to get access to these funds. And essentially what you would do is, so let's say you develop a program with Laura and the business growers to go after your market. You would basically put in the case, what you're trying to accomplish, and request those funds in our portal. So again, everything's in that portal. You then get that pre-approval from our program, saying, okay, go ahead and execute on that plan. And then once you execute, come back to us for reimbursement. So again, those funds are there. We highly recommend it. The idea is not to just give you free money, right? It's to create ROI for all of us, right? We're looking at return on investment. And like Laura mentioned, Platinum Elite for Fuse Cloud, one of our partners, there's 3 different tiers, traditionally, gold, platinum, elite. So the more you spend in the program, you move up in tier, you get some additional discounts, you get additional access to dollars, and things like that. The other thing I should mention, and I think I mentioned like rate cards earlier, everything for the most part is rate card driven. Yeah. So those rates are going to be sitting in the portal that you can download. So you'll know if you're in a highly metro area of Kansas City, those rates are set. But if you want to run the quote, because you're not sure, like I do all the time for new partners coming in, you just stick in the address, put in the speed, and it'll spit to the quote. You can even download it, the quote if you want it, have it saved to your hard drive or what have you. But it's really, we give you everything within that portal as much as we can. Again, the fiber lit building list, the access to the marketing dollars, the product info, and then it even talks about the different tiers and what you need to go from the next level. And then we also have a lot of different, not commissions, but programs for incentives, right? To where maybe one quarter we're saying, you know what, we really want to drive our broadband product. and then you go out there and you kill it and you're selling it, every day, you can actually get some monies back to us. We even have a contest that we do with our partners. This is it's called Partner Exchange for a reason. I probably should have said that at the top, Laura, but it's called Partner Exchange. We want your feedback. What's working? What's not? Where are the pain points in the market? Maybe, again, going back to Joe's Telecom, maybe he's killing you all the time and you need a little bit better. We take that feedback in, or maybe it's with the AT&T direct side, that happens too. But we take that feedback and we move quickly. Okay, this isn't your grandfather's or grandmother's AT&T. This program is really nimble, really quick. It's still telecom, I'm not gonna lie. There are situations that come up, but again, you're going to have those resources to support you. I've been in this program 10 years, I said. Most people that are in this program, maybe not 10, there's a lot of them that have been. Once they get here, they don't leave because this is really a great place to work and the environment and so forth. And one last point, if I may.
Yeah, please. We got time.
We just did I'll give you an example of things we do with our partners. We just did a golf tournament in Dallas about a week ago. I literally flew off a plane from Boston for a show I was at with one of our other ecosystem partners. I'm not a golfer, but many partners I knew were there. I went there. My friend had one of our executives had his truck at the airport with his golf clubs all ready to go. We had a 5 a.m. flight out of Boston and went right to the golf course. Dallas Cowboys Club, I think it's called. Don't quote me. But many of our partners were there. We had sponsors. We raised $65,000 for the American Heart Association. Our third year doing it. It went from like 14, I think, to maybe 20 to 65. We do a lot of cool stuff with our partners. Again, can't say it enough. If you don't win, we don't win. We're here to support your efforts and
But I think that also is evidence, Jeff, by the regional event that I just participated in Dallas. So rather than, a lot of times conferences, they have a central location that they, require you to come to. And it's, if you live on one coast and it's always on the other coast, it's difficult to get there every time. Well, you guys are unique in that you offer for your partner exchange solution providers 3 different places, right?
Yeah.
Multiple places every year to go that are all accessible and easy to get to. And I had been to these events when I was working as the chief marketing officer for one of your solution providers, and have now, it's just been really cool to be able to see both on that side how you serve your solution providers, and now I'm getting to be on the other side of it as a marketing resource for lots of solution providers. So that's been really fun to see how you guys have transformed the program and just continued to improve. And I can speak for the solution providers because I used to be on that side. You really do want to create that win-win and for everybody. So
yeah, it's been something else to be in this program 10 years. And again, when I say startup, we really created like that Google-like atmosphere, right? With the Papa Shot and the scooters that we used to have in the old spot. We don't have scooters now, we're downtown, but we still have that same feel. We took the names of the rooms, like No Jacket was the name of a room, Torchy Taco. Don't ask me where all the names originated from before I got there. But we did all this. So hey, we're meeting in No Jacket, we're meeting here.
Yeah.
We took those names to rooms where we office now downtown. It's a fun place. And you can see the stuff on our LinkedIn. You can see the stuff that, AT&T Partner Solutions is our main handle. So you'll see our alliance on there. You'll see AT&T Partner Exchange. There's golf tournament stuff on there right now. So you'll
it's a
see
family. It's a big family. That's what I love about it. Awesome.
Sure.
So does anyone have any questions before I have one final question for you, Jeff, and then we can kind of open the floor, but I wanted to go ahead before I asked you this. Does anyone have any questions about what it might look like to work with Jeff and the AT&T Partner Exchange? No questions? You can put them in the chat if you do, or you can unmute yourself.
Come on, give me something. Give me something.
Yeah, come on. I know we got 20-something people. So I would love to ask you this because I think this is probably what a lot of people are thinking, even if they're not asking. But what would the next step, like if this all sounds good, I'm interested, I think I want to make a step forward. What would those next steps look like if I'm ready?
Well, I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, Jay-Z, this is too good to be
Too
true.
good to be true.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what you're thinking. I can already see it. No, but again, I mean, obviously you're on this call for a reason. And I want to help you. I'm the front door to the company, in this program. So
Yeah.
I'm the front door. And, maybe we talk a little bit about the size of the companies too, Laura. We can get into that a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah, that'd
But
be great.
it's again really easy. If this is something you see value in, you see the opportunity to grow revenue that you're not capturing today.
Right.
Maybe you're not doing telecom at all, right? Or maybe you are, just not with us or through this program. We really start. You get me a W-9. I put together a mutual NDA. We run a credit check. Takes about 5 days. But during that period, you know, it's a vetting process, right? But it's an exchange. Give me information. I'll give you information. Let's run some opportunities. Send me address. It's really simple. Send me address, what service, and what speed, and then I'll run quotes for you. So I do all this stuff up front, again, because the idea is not to bring you in to have you not be successful a year from now, right? My goal is to bring you in, and everybody's different. Everybody has a different timeline, how long it takes, because
Right.
it's still telecom. If you're not billing it, taxing it today, you still got to get that in order. But I'll get you to the right folks. We get the paperwork signed off. I send you a welcome email, and then I'm going to hand you off to an account team. Again, all those resources I mentioned: channel account manager, inside sales, mobility, and a sales engineer. I mean, 4 people from AT&T that are going to manage your relationship. They'll come on site with you. They'll, invite you to all the events, let you know about all the incentives we're running. They're really there to keep you abreast on everything, make sure we're top of mind, right? Because you are running a business. You're an MSP. A lot of you
Busy, very busy.
day to
Yeah.
day, right?
Yeah.
And so adding in this piece of it, the real value too for folks like many of you, I would imagine, is creating that stickiness with the client. Having the network, the IPs in there, nobody, for the IT centric folks here, nobody wants to change out internet and deal with IPs and things like that. So I'm sure you're getting those first calls from your clients already when things go south, being the MSP or IT provider. Now you own the network piece. So, kind of avoid that finger pointing.
Right.
You guys are our customer, right?
Yeah.
You're going to come to us. So you do basic triage. Is the router plugged in? Is there green lights? Real basic stuff. Like, yeah, everything checks out. We're good on this end. Okay. You MSP, Fusion Cloud, you then go to us for tier 2 and above. So it's, again, you're taking cost out of my business. I give you that wholesale rate to add margin on top, ideally bundled with your other services in our mobility and maybe our dynamic defense. You don't have to, there's no requirement there, but I give you that rate to add margin and go win and own the whole customer. That's really what it comes down to, and grow revenue and build equity value.
And I asked a few minutes ago, how many people have had an opportunity where they or have had a prospect where they lost because of they didn't have everything in their toolbox. But what I didn't ask is, like, how many opportunities do you think you could have gained by being able to get your foot in the door with something like fiber internet? Because sometimes not everybody's ready to pull the trigger on a contract, but they do need internet, or they do need, some of these other services that you guys provide. So I think about how many more opportunities folks would get in that regard. Looks like we do have a question from John. For wireless failover, what do the typical cost and margins look like? I don't know if you can address that on this call, or maybe have to.
Yeah, John, thanks for the question. I can't give dollars or anything, until we get that NDA. I want to, be respectful of, things. But I can tell you this has been a process for our program, especially on the mobility side. because it's different than just buying it off of the retail side of the house. We have to set up our plans for resale, right? And for you all to win. I can tell you this, we have plans that are highly competitive, where if you know how to do like SIM management, and that's in your wheelhouse, and manage data pools or data plans, you're going to find this plan fantastic. And just real quick, even on the ecosystem, I talked about sales enablement with the billing, tax, and compliance, and Laura talked about marketing as a service, her expertise. Let's say you want to bypass the portal in some cases. You'll still have access to it, but maybe you want to do direct API connection, right? You can leverage those funds to set up a direct API from your CRM to our back-end systems. So without going through the portal. Or maybe, let's just say you're buying from a lot of providers and you want to leverage a third party. ConnectBase, which was a conference I was at in Boston, you can go into their platform and put in an address and get everybody's quote, right? You can leverage our funds for that too. Of course, you're going to see other competitors. We get it. We're trying to win our fair share. So there's other ways to leverage those dollars. APIs is a great way. Obviously, the marketing as a service, the billing, tax, and compliance. So it's all there for you to access. So hopefully, John, I answered your question. It's competitive. And even on the SIM management, we have a provider, real quick, we have a ecosystem partner. If you're doing mobility with multiple providers, they have a platform where you can have a single pane of glass and manage all your mobility providers under one roof, so to speak. So,
John, give us a thumbs up if that answered your question.
or a half a thumb.
Yeah. And we do have Jeff's contact info at the end of this. So if anybody does want to reach directly out to Jeff with more questions, certainly can do that. Jeff, anything else you want to add that we didn't cover already? I feel like we kind of, we did scratch the surface, but also dug in a little bit in a couple of key areas. Anything specifically you want to make sure we cover?
This is what I would tell everyone on the call. I know and this is the kind of conversations I have with folks individually, all the time, or at shows, or, speaking to folks. You're somewhat drinking from a fire hose, I think. And again, telco is different, right? It's a different animal. Like if you're doing hosted VoIP and things like that. But I can't stress it enough. If you want to get into the space, or you're in the space and you want to add AT&T to your portfolio, we have resources to help you get there, or get you over the hump. It could be complicated at times, but these are all pre-vetted vendors. It wasn't like, oh, Laura's really nice, the business growers, Grace is cool, I like them.
It was 3 years. It was 3 years of us trying to get in and make
it's the people we bring into our ecosystem have been vetted, not just by me, but by other folks. And we try to bring in folks that we know are going to bring value to our partners. That's the whole point, right? And some we bring in a year, we kind of shake hands and we go our separate ways, because it wasn't a fit. But again, I can tell you right now, for the time I've been working with Laura really closely the last several months, I'm actually upset that she wasn't part of our program earlier. So
let's just look forward. We won't look back. That's all right.
So you're in great hands. Things, again, could be challenging at times. If you're working on competitive deals out there, you might be going up against one of our other partners, and another account team. We see that from time to time. But again, the resources are there. We're bringing in new business for the most part into AT&T. We're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. But doesn't mean if you're on the retail side buying AT&T, we're not going to get rid of those agreements. You got to fulfill them. But if you want to start working through this program, because now you're thinking to yourself, I want to own the relationship, I want the revenue on my books, that's me, right? That's when people go from there to here. They don't go from my side to the other side. I haven't seen that.
Right. They come to your side and stay, right?
Yeah. Hopefully, right?
That's right.
But would love to talk to every single one of you, and
Yeah.
we can go through the portal. That would be a next step, I think, for anyone that's really interested. Let's get an NDA executed.
Take a look at the portal.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can show you the portal.
Okay.
Everything I just talked about, I can show you, and how easy it is to quote, and go
Awesome.
from there.
So I have your contact info, but first I have an offer for everyone on the call. There have been, I think, 2 people that have dropped off, so they are missing out. So I just finished one of my big goals for the year. My team has supported me in this, was to write a book. Basically, I put all of the steps that I believe are most important for a managed services provider, IT business, to be successful with digital marketing. I put it all in a book. You can scan this QR code right now. You can take your phone, scan it right here on this screen, or go to go.thebusinessgrowers.com/free book with a hyphen between the 2 words. And you can get your own free copy of this book. Just launched it a couple of weeks ago at an event. I tried to get it in time for the AT&T regional event, but didn't quite do that. So I launched it at the RevIO event, their client summit, not too long after. And then on the next slide, you'll see we've got both Jeff's contact information and my contact information. Jeff's you might have to write down because he's got some numbers and letters in there, but you can call him Jeff. I believe he's okay if you call him Jay-Z as well. You can usually see him with his cap on. He didn't wear his cap today, but have you got it around, Jeff? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very visible and got a lot of energy at the AT&T event. So you can jot this down or take a picture and get access to both his email and mine here. Any final questions before we go? Jeff, this was very insightful. Thank you so much. I feel like having this recording for anyone who was here or missed today, we will send the recording for everyone who registered. If anyone has any final questions, please drop them in the chat or just unmute. Feel free to unmute. And Grace did throw the link to the book in the chat. So that's available.
Yeah, if I can just see a thumbs up. I'm not really looking at the chat, but was this helpful? Was this new that you weren't familiar with our program and what we're about? I'd be curious.
I got one in the chat.
Okay.
Thumbs up. People can do just an actual thumbs up on the screen too.
But yeah, if you want to email me, just put if you don't mind, just put the name of your company and then put the business growers in the subject. That way it'll just kind of let me know
Came from. Yeah.
who you are, where you came from.
Perfect. Linda says yes. Thank you, everyone. Looks like we got a lot of good feedback and thumbs up. So that's great. Awesome. Well, thank you. This recording will be available. So if you're registered and you're here, this recording will go out. Jeff, we'll get it to you as well. I feel like you probably could save yourself a lot of talking in the future by just sending people this video and telling them, here's all you need to know about the program. So we'll make sure we get this out. It'll of course be on our YouTube. If you are interested in more content like this, I have Grace, can you drop, this is a last minute, but drop our YouTube link in the chat if you don't mind. We have lots of resources. We do a webinar every month, and we do podcast every a couple of those every month. So you can actually take advantage of all of the resources and all the things that we talk about on a regular basis on our YouTube channel. And if you email me, you can certainly get access to future webinars and things like that. And just let me know that you want to be included in our list. So
yeah, and real quick, feel free to follow me on, connect on LinkedIn too.
Yes. Where do we find you? You're very active. Both of us are pretty active on LinkedIn. So if you look up Laura Johns or Jeff Zimmerman, you can't miss us.
Yeah, it's the same picture Laura put up from some years ago. But just look up Jeff Zimmerman, AT&T Partner Exchange, I guess.
Samantha says, great job, very informative. Awesome. Thanks, Samantha.
So.
All right. Yeah, look him up on LinkedIn. Let us know after the fact. If you have questions, feel free to email either one of us. And thank you, Jeff, for being a part of this. I think it was very informative and hopefully very insightful for those that joined. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, Laura. Thanks, everyone.